I literally was just working on the backing music like while everybody else was getting ready because Chris was like talking to Sam about the fucking like the new tricolor strat, the best strat ever created by man.
And that was about half an hour ago, man.
That's the point. Anyway,
okay, let's just go.
We are rolling. Hello, everybody. We are back, just as organized as ever, with another episode of Chewits Tuesdays. We were definitely supposed to get this out today, and definitely not last week. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Literally nothing. Anyway, I'm with the boys.
Hello, it's me, Chris. Back again.
Hi, how's it going, Savage?
Shut up.
Oh, leave me alone.
Jesus, rude.
Wow.
Let's refer to the list.
Yeah,
let's get this.
Been a little while. No, yeah. So it's been a little while since we did this. A few things have happened actually. It's funny because we were thinking about doing a podcast last week, but like stuff was kind of dead in Splatoon anyway. There wasn't really much to talk about. But this last week has been pretty eventful. Loads of patch and inkTV has just started up after we're just recording this right after the first qualifier. It was literally yesterday. So there's some stuff. Some teams had some good runs. So it's looking alright. There are actual topics of conversation, so we have options.
Also, we're not all incredibly busy. So
For once.
yeah.
No, not as rarity.
I think the first thing we should probably talk out straight away is the patch, because that's like the big thing for the past bit.
Big SWIG.
Talk
Big
off.
swing.
No, we're not talking about base.
I'm picking it up.
Oh, you're not.
I am also picking up a big swig. I like.
Can we just like break away and make
It's a really weird time to announce that Chewits needs a new two.
Yeah, this is so. At the moment, we're looking for a brush and a bow.
We can't find anyone.
Yeah, you're never gonna find
no one.
anything.
You are gonna find a bow. You might find a brush. Who knows? But you're definitely not gonna find a bow.
Playing bow?
Who is playing bow? Good question. Why aren't people
You should
playing
play bow.
bow?
It's good. Any backlines out there thinking about playing bow? You should play bow. It's good. Better in this meta perhaps because it's good against anti-aggro or against aggro. This is just a good weapon in general. It's got whale.
Speaking of better, back to the patch. A lot of weapons actually got some very nice buffs here. Just taking a look. Obviously, we need to get the obvious big one out of the way. Big SWIG has had its fall off rate adjusted, so the distance where you can one shot with the vertical swing has been increased by roughly 15%, and the distance where you can two shot with the vertical swing has been extended by 49%. So basically, big swing two shots pretty much all the time now. So it's even funnier than it was before. Like,
It's terrible still.
Can we not go over the stuff that no one cares about?
nah, like we need to talk about the really important ones first. I don't know.
Next, you're gonna say, "Oh my God, Nova!" It got an incredible
No one cares about Splash on Nova. What I care about is Snipe Racer's damage has been increased to 68.
Shut the fuck up.
Why did we make this podcast? Anyway,
Better.
The main elephant in the room in this patch is that crab and burst bomb have been sufficiently nerfed so far. It seems like a lot of people have been like moving away from crab spam in the sense that they're not everybody is running double splash, double machine or something like that. Mainly people are starting to move to Splash Neo, which was already a really good weapon before the patch because of how strong strikes are, as well as how strong bombs are, especially suction bombs against a super aggressive meta game. And that has been, the crab tank has now been nerfed. It is now a lot more sluggish. Introduced an interval where players cannot attack for roughly 0.33 seconds after returning to attack mode from mobile mode, and increase the amount of time it takes for players to act again after the special ends.
That's a good one.
Which
we were
yeah.
talking about that one before. Like we were talking about that as an idea of how they can nerf it, because it is pretty dumb that you can just like as splash, get popped out of crab tank and then just start burst bombing with full ink tank. That was not okay. You could like go into ball mode, just start bumping into people, and then when they shred you, just instantly burst out of it. Like that was fucked.
Yeah.
So you can't. There's at least a good half a second where you can't do that anymore, which is more than enough time to die. So that is a lot more balanced. Obviously, it's kind of dumb because there's all these nerfs that are happening that are like they're affecting burst bombs and crab, and it's like sort of affecting splash, but it's still easily a top tier weapon. Probably still gonna be one of the most popular pick, and all it's doing is like affecting other crab tag and burst bomb weapons. Like Carbon keeps on getting hit, Stamper keeps on getting hit. Although Stamper doesn't deserve it, but Carbon keeps on getting hit, and Duties keeps on getting hit. Splashshot Pro is dog shit. Again, like,
L3 as well.
They're just hitting all these other weapons, and Splash is like, oh, you know, I can deal with that. I can take that. I'm still good. Like it's not. It's good. It is good. It's better than what was the case, but it's not perfect.
The one thing that definitely annoyed, the one disappointing part about this patch is that Splash is still not 210. It's the easiest nerf ever. It's not even 220. It's just 210, and that really drives these Splash's win rate down a lot, because having that crab tank on retakes, on like advantage, disadvantage, whatever, when you're in a disadvantage fight, it's just an extra 10 more points. Doesn't sound like enough
though. Like 10 points is like an extra millisecond of painting.
I know, but it's more like
220. If you're gonna make the 220, you want to make Splash 220.
But with these other nerfs, though, I do think that 210 is like enough to make it just that little bit worse, along with everything else.
Like,
I think it would make enough of a difference.
It's literally 2 bullets on a weapon that shoots like, I don't know, what's its kill time, like 15 frames? Like, that's 4 bullets in 15 frames. I know I cannot be able to do the math, but each bullet comes out like every frame or something. So that's like 5 more frames. That's like 5 more frames of painting per special. It needs.
I don't think 220 is really needed, but at the same time, it's not all that bad considering that these nerfs have been enough so far.
If you think about it, 210 will not change the amount of crabs that a player gets per game. It will not go like if they're getting an average of 5, they will continue to get an average of 5. It will not change it at all. It is not even remotely enough. Like these point special thingies. It's never like 20 is something. Like 20 plus is something. 10 is just it is literally 2 bullets. That is absolutely nothing. One burst bomb does like 40 points. Like it's so it's just maybe not quite that much, but like between 20 and 30, I think one burst bomb does something stupid. But it's like nothing at all for Splash to just get that back. And they'll circumvent it with special charges. But the good nerf was definitely burst bomb. Burst bomb's a problem. Obviously, yeah, it's not like Carbon, but hold that, I guess. I don't know what to say about Stamper and Splash were broken, and it was like burst bomb was one of the things that was making it broken. So no, that was a good one. That was a good nerf though.
I should mention that I did not mention the burst bomb nerf. It is now from 40% of your tank to 45, which is really good.
There's also the other nerf that applies to not only burst bomb but fizzy bomb as well. They've improved, they've drastically improved the curve for sub power up, not sub power up, sub defense up. I don't know why they renamed it. I guess it's to try and show off the fact that it no longer protects you against specials, which, cool, I guess. But they've changed the curve for sub defense up so that even with low amounts, it drastically reduces the amount of damage that bombs deal. So it affects every burst bomb hitbox, and it also affects indirect fizzy bomb damage as well. And those two in tandem mean that, like, I think with just like one sub of sub defense, you can actually tank 2 burst bombs like direct. Like,
I think it's 3
how
subs.
many was it? It was like 2
3.
subs. Yeah,
2 or 3, something like that.
It sounds like just 1 or 2. I think it's 2.
One sub does stop fizzies. 2 subs I think stops dumb Stamper combos. 3 subs stops all Stamper combos.
That is a really good change. A lot of people weren't even bothering using sub defense up anymore because of the, it doesn't affect specials. People used it in the last game mainly because of missiles. It reduced damage from that, which was helpful back then, but obviously it doesn't do that anymore, so people didn't bother. But
and also armor as well, don't forget.
Yo, that's why it came in initially, yeah, it's because you could, like, let's say if you got chipped by a bomb from far away, your armor wouldn't break. That was why. No, you're right.
As well.
And also, if you got chipped by a missile from far away, it also wouldn't break your armor if you have on defense. Yeah, it was That was why. It was because of armor.
Yeah.
That was why it came in initially back in like 2019 or 2018, whatever it was.
Do you remember like the doc that they made of all of the different things that one sub of bomb defense manages to stop, and it was like just a Google doc which is like a page and a half long, and it was just a list of every single combo in the game. And the best
combo.
Yeah, like the best part about it was I think that entire list was manually compiled by one guy. Like the amount of patience it would have taken to not only find all those combos, so like most of which you're never even going to encounter in a game to begin with, but to compile them all in a single Google document to justify using one sub of bomb defense is very impressive. Unfortunately, it only works on subs now, so half the combos that were mentioned in that document don't even apply anymore. And even with some of the main weapon combos, they've been changed now, since there's been some interesting main weapon changes this patch as well. I personally think that the biggest one for me is the Slosher change. Slosher now always like two-shots its target no matter what. Like the minimum fall-off damage for a shot is 50. I'm not the Slosher player here, but I personally think that's a really, really nice change for Slosher.
I can't believe it's been like this. It's been like this for like 4 years. Like without it, I've been able to do like 28.9 damage with Slosher for like 4 years. That is fucking insane, dude. The fact that it used to just happen is ridiculous. Especially in the game with armor, that's mental. It took them this long to change that. I cannot believe it.
Something that Chara said, it was quite funny to me when he did his patch video. He said, like, the fact that it was like this kind of just punished the positions that Slosher wanted to take.
That's exactly
so it's just like, what?
Let's say, like you know, Sturgeon, you didn't really want to fight from sniper Slosher because you would be three-shotting people. Like what you would do is you'd be fighting from sniper, you'd hit someone, it would do like 40 damage, you hit them again, it might do 50. Obviously they're not dying, but then you have to drop and follow them, and you don't really want to do that. You want to be, you know, sloshing from high or like. And the other thing was if you were sloshing over walls, a lot of the time it would just do like 45 damage, and then the next one would do 50 and it wouldn't kill. And you're like, bro, what's the point? Like, and it's I can't to believe that this weapon used to do a consistent 70 since Splatoon 1 up until like a good chunk of Splatoon 2. And then in Splatoon 1 had damage up, so you could do like 85 damage with that shit. And now it's like this. But it's okay, they're getting better, you know? It's like 50 consistently, it's always going to be two-shotting. I was playing Flounder earlier today, and I was killing people from like the wall down to all the way down to the fucking bottom of the ground, and I was like, oh, this is sick. Yeah, it is better, it is better.
The thing is as well, is that Slosher was really outclassed by Machine in this game because of that whole thing. Machine was usually consistently always a 3-shot weapon, while Slosher was sometimes a 2-shot, sometimes even a 3-shot, 4-shot even in some cases.
It would
not make Slosher.
Yeah, it could be 4-shot, but like realistically, it never really would be. But the reason sometimes you might have a fight with Slosher where it's 4-shot because the other guy keeps on healing and you keep on getting like 40 damage shots off.
Yeah,
that was annoying. That could happen, but. Obviously with Machine, it's like, yeah, it's always a 3-shot, so you can always rely on it. It's weird with Machine, it's like, when you look at it, it's like, oh, Slosher always 2-shots, so like, that's more consistent than Machine, right? But, and then when Slosher 3-shots, it's like, oh, Machine usually 3-shots, that's fine for both, but there's something about the way that Machine hits you where like, it gets you stuck in ink, so you get hit by 1 shot, you're guaranteed to get hit by 2. When you get hit by 2, you're guaranteed to get hit by the 3rd. Slosher, you can get hit by 1 and run away. A lot of the time, it doesn't pay on your feet nearly as well as Machine does. Just the arc and the angle isn't nearly as obnoxious to fight. And then Machine can direct you and does, what, 76, which is higher than what Slosher does on its best day, so... Yeah, stuff.
And it also has Booyah, which is even more survivability over Strike.
The main reason that Slosher's still worse than Machine is because of the kit differential. Strikes are good, don't get me wrong, but if you want Strikes, you're playing Tate or Splash. Or even Firefin at this point, or like we call it Firefin, it is Z plus F, or Z plus F, or whatever the fuck. Firefin's better, it's cooler, it's more natural, rolls off the tongue. If anyone cares about that, fuck you, it's Firefin.
It is also Splatoon 2.
People are playing that, but mostly Ttek and Splash. Which is another thing entirely, Ttek and Splash.
Oh.
Which one is better?
It's near Splash.
I think it's neither.
Fucking life, you know?
I think it's neither.
I've seen so many people on Twitter that are like, oh, why are people using Splash? I thought Tate was better. Also, oh, why do people use Tate? I thought like Splash is so much better than Tate. It's like, dude, come on. They're like dead equal. they do slightly different things better than each other. They have the exact same kit. They should not both exist in the same game, and it's so dumb that they both exist at the same time. They are like, they do the exact same thing in slightly different ways based off your personal preference. If you value the higher range, you want Ttek and slightly better kill time. If you want to like do more better paint support and have suction bomb for like tower and like longer stalls on Rainmaker, you're gonna want Splash. And if you like sharking more, probably also Splash because the no RNG really helps. If you're a bunny hopper in fights and you want to jump around a lot, again Splash. But like, well, it's entirely down to personal preference. One is not better than the other at all. I've seen people put them in whole different tiers. Like Splashing like is super good, Ttek's like kind of mid or bad, and like that makes no sense, dude.
There is, I do think it is definitely more popular in the meta game, and it doesn't surprise me all that much considering that Splash is just good in combination with a lot of things as well. The chip damage. A lot of people always seem to argue about the chip damage of it because it can get bullets onto people a little bit quicker because it's just got that higher. I'm pretty sure it's higher bullet velocity, but I might be wrong. It also.
Yeah, maybe.
So there is a lot. There's a lot to argue for both, but I do think that they serve a very similar purpose, and it's just down to personal preference. Whether you like to be more aggressive or if you like to be more stally kind of playstyle, it's really up to you.
I think like Tate versus Splash is like, I think Splash is definitely better suited to some roles in a team comp than Tate is, and then vice versa. Like, I think Tate is the much best. If you want to look at the weapon like overall, I think Tate is actually just better than Neo Splash because you have the splat bomb, you have like a 3-shot weapon. It paints fairly well. Like it's very all round. Like just because you have that splat shot main weapon, but at the same time, like Splatoon is a game which you only have 4 weapon slots on a team, so having like weapons that are good like all round but like not really super amazing in any one area is usually more the detriment than anything else. Like you want weapons that are like the best at what they do because you've only got 4 slots to fill. And I think that Neo Splash is like, I mean, I've like recently with inkTV as well, I'm noticing, but a lot of like former Anger players are starting to switch over to playing the new Neo Splash because they want to have that like anchor presence, but they also want to output a lot of strikes, they want to output a lot of paint, they want to output a lot of bombs, and they can just kind of naturally anchor with the splash. But ultimately, while Neo Splash is like, you know, Neo Splash is, I think, is better overall because it has like in that one specific role, Neo Splash just clears. But I think if you're like in like say playing solo queue, for example, I think you might be better off playing the Tate just because you know you have more options for more situations. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's not reasonable. It's yeah, Splash was really popular. Like, Neo Splash was really popular yesterday. There were a couple of comps that didn't even have Crab anymore, but they did have Neo Splash instead. The best example was Graveyard Shift. I believe they did qualify in the end from Lucer's side.
Oh yeah, they did.
They ran like Wiper, Tetra, or Machine instead of Wiper sometimes, and then Heavy and Neo Splash. So there's no Crab. Even on maps like Museum Clams, where you're like, oh, Crab is like super over centralizing, it's broken. You get it on the Spitter, it just holds pushes for 10 whole extra seconds on its own, and probably gets to kill something stupidly. And they weren't even using that. Obviously, they were still winning there. It's fine. Other teams as well that had a deep run was Nightmare. Ips was playing Neo Splash for them. Spark played Neo Splash, and they managed to beat Last Resort. And there were others, but I am forgetting. I think Jackpot I think did too.
Yeah, Q was playing Neo Splash for Jackpot. Like that was like what I was talking earlier about, like Neo Splash being in that sort of like, you know, if you want to play more of an anchorish like kind of run spam strikes, like Q. I was literally like thinking of Q's gameplay on, I think it was Undertow Rainmaker, like absolutely like an amazing example of using that strategy really effectively.
It makes a lot of sense for Charger players because, well, you know, Charger's pretty great on zones and tower, pretty bad on Rainmaker and Clams. So having Splash that's great on both those two, especially Rainmaker, that kit is busted there. You know, it gets pops way too easily, and with strikes and stuff like that, it paints super well. It can hold it can grab the rain, it can defend from pushes. It's a super solid weapon for that mode. Clam's obviously fine as well. This is a good top tier weapon. It's consistent and good everywhere. Can't really go wrong with it. So it's also pretty easy to pick up. Let's be honest. It's got a pretty low skill floor. So if anybody's a little bit confused what to do with weapons, give it a go. I might like it.
It is really fun. I really like splashing out. It's fun. Cool weapon. A couple other things before we move on from the patch notes. Kraken got nerfed. It's a really significant one because right now it kind of makes... Well, Kraken is still good, but the whole reason why people were using Kraken was because of the fact that you could cheese on tower for a couple of extra points, and you could cheese clams. Now now you can't do that because on TC, you can now... The Kraken is so easily pushed back by anything, not just a special like Troy Strike, like it was before, and clams pushes are still good, but not like they were before, where you just, after the Kraken is over, you hold the clam. So it's kind of a good thing, to be honest, because I really hated that cheese all the time. I think it was SnipeZ was playing paddling pool, right, where Porky Kraken on tower and they took it because of that, right, or something like that.
Literally the day before the patch, they won in I don't think it's overtime, but Squid and Good only won against us because they Kraken tower when Porky was lost, and neither of the people alive could just push him off because it was too impossible.
Thank God that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying. It was lucky that they fixed it before Kraken got put on better weapons. Like 96 isn't bad. It's got wall. It's fine. It can do it, but it can't get Kraken particularly fast. And obviously Roller's Roller. It's got a niche, it's fine, but it's not gonna be
Roller's Roller.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, a Roller is a Roller.
You cannot defend Kraken so hard.
I am going to if the map is Flounder Heights. If the map is Flounder Heights, Kraken Roller is kinda cracked. That's all I'm saying.
Fucking V-Try works on Flounder, man.
V-Try works on a lot of places, don't get me started, but it's Roller.
But overall, this is, I think, one of the best patches that we've gotten so far in the game. They made a lot of great changes. They made a lot of great nerfs to sort of open things up, because the metagame has been oppressive for the past 6 months. So finally giving us some breathing room, giving us some meaningful buffs, we can actually start experimenting outside of Crab Tank and Machine and Stamper, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
So.
Yeah, I think yesterday's tournament. As we're recording this on a Sunday again, so yesterday for us would be the 1st of April, which was the first qualifier for inkTV Resurgence, and I think I personally had a lot of fun watching that tournament because not only was every set streamed, which I have a lot of thoughts about, but we can get onto those in a little bit. But it was also the first proper big tournament since the patch happened. There's been a few sporadic matches here and there. I don't remember if there was a Triton Cup on Friday. I don't think so. The only matches that I can think of that might have been played that within the current patch before then that were competitive, at least, were things like the last couple of matches for the Nintendo Players UK Splat League, which is a If you know what DSB is in Germany, the I'm gonna butcher the German. Hang on a second. The Deutsche Splatoon Bundesliga. Bundesliga. It's basically our version of that. A league that a lot of UK players compete in. Happens every now and then. But there's been a couple of matches that have happened on the most recent patch since then. For example, Chewits Mafia versus Spark happened on that patch. I believe there were 2 other matches as well on the same day after ours. But outside of those, I literally can't think of any competitive tournaments or even matches that have been played on this patch before then. So
yeah, there wouldn't have been time. It started on Thursday.
Yeah.
The patch came out Thursday, so then obviously Saturday is when the tournament happened. So it wasn't really gonna happen before that. And it was a good tester one. A lot of people using much greater variety of things. Obviously it's still early days, and people may just go, oh, you know what, double machine, double splash is still better, and they'll just keep running that. Possibly, that's not highly unlikely, to be honest. Maybe it'll be Honestly, double machine does look pretty stupid right now. Like really stupid. Like a really good comp that we might see is like Stamper Machine Splash Splash, and one of those splashes is Neo. That could be something, but at least it's like those are all 4 technically different weapons. It's a lot of what we've seen already, and not everybody plays Stamper either. Stamper's like not the easiest thing in the world to pick up and be like super good with. I want to say it's like that's the problem with Splash Machine being broken is that they're pretty fucking easy to pick up.
I wouldn't even say Stamper's the better one anymore now. I think Wiper's the way to go now.
Oh yeah,
because of the burst.
They did get nerfs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And Wiper's been buffed like indirectly through Stamp, so there's that.
Yeah.
Exactly. A pretty big buffs for Stamp as well.
Yeah, they are helping that special. Thank God it's taking long enough.
Airbrush yeah. Buffs, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like, honestly, I think the way, like, I think because if like pre-patch there were 2 different ways you could play Stamper. The first way was using a lot of QR and playing it quite aggressively. You would be dying a lot, but you're also a Stamper that is absolutely terrifying to face down, so your opponents had to give you a lot of respect regardless. But now that the ink tank management is a little bit more difficult, you are going to have to maybe sacrifice a little bit more of your build. Maybe instead of running 2 mains of QR, you have to run like some comeback to help you with your ink management. And I think like the other way that Stamper was played pre-patch, which is more of a pokey sort of style with it, I think that's like the way to go now with Stamper, because you know, with these ink efficiency nerfs, you could play Stamper and you could play it in that aggressive style again. But honestly, like, why would you do it over Wiper? Because Wiper can more easily run the QR. It has a lot more snowball potential, and the main weapon for Wiper is absolutely just nuts. I know it doesn't have the damage combos that Stamper has, but like, that thing has an incredible amount of mobility and skirmishing ability. Like, I hate playing it. I hate playing against it.
Can still one-shot as well. Like, and when people get really good at that, it's pretty terrifying. Wiper's a cool weapon that needs to be played more, and we've seen it in some tournaments. Like, Hero showed it off a couple weeks ago.
Zera's yesterday as well. Like, Zera's
yeah,
playing a
yeah.
lot of growth.
Yeah.
Like,
The only one, I think Leechy played it a bit too.
Isabel too.
Isabel's played as well, yeah. So those are good few Wiper players, which is nice. And all of those guys have been playing it for a little while as well. They've all 3 of those players, they've played it for a bit here and there. I know Isabel tried to pick it up in the past because of like Wiper kind of does what Tetra does a little bit better, so she might prefer it. And Leafy just seems to be good at any Slayer under the sun, so it makes enough sense. But yes, no, there are people that are playing it, which is nice, and there'll probably only be more. It's a very fun weapon, very sick. So that's another one. We want to see more Wipers, more variety. They've honestly done a bang-up job with like the first 2 new weapons, like Splatanas and bows. They're all really cool. Bow is sick, Stamper's sick, Wiper's sick, and then they fucked it up after that, but we don't talk about it.
They really have fucked it up.
Big sniper rifle. The most
I know, but don't forget.
shit that's ever been made in this game, and there's a lot of dumb weapons that overlap with other weapons. That might be the worst thing ever. Why is Sniper in the same game as Bamboo? Why is Basic in the same game as flingza? I cannot believe it.
I honestly, like, if Big Swig keeps getting buffed, if Big Swig gets a good secondary kit, I could see it actually being like a solid zones weapon. Like, you're not playing that in any other mode other than zones. But in that one mode, you know what? Big Swig might actually, like, there is still hope for...
Big Swig is just inverted flingza. Like, the painting one is a horizontal flick for Big Swig, whereas it's the vertical flick for flingza. And then, like, the horizontal is the killing one for flingza, and then it's a vertical is the killing one for Big Swig. They just inverted the weapon and was like, oh yeah, throw it out there, that'll be a good new one. And then it glitched to eel tail for like 3 months.
Yeah, true. I think people got banned for that, didn't they?
Yeah, I remember having to.
Funny.
I remember like that was how I learned how to use the report functions for Toon 3, which I don't know why you can't report people through the phone app as well as through the game anymore. Like, I don't understand why you have to be on the game to report them. Like, having the option to report people through the game itself is really, really nice, but being able to do it through the phone app as well would also be, I think, very beneficial, especially if you like run into someone who, you know, in the past may have been doing the Big Swig thing on EOTEL, but these days you're more so using it for that one guy who's using aimbot, We
ran into, by the way.
Yeah, we ran into that guy when just playing some open.
It was funny.
Like,
He got 32 kills.
Absolute shitter, whatever, don't matter. But
yeah, it was funny. He got like 32 kills or something like that.
They gotta go, man. People like that gotta go. So boring.
It's so annoying how they justified it as well, where it was like they're bad at the game and they never win.
They're actually such a sad human being. Like it's really depressing. If you've seen some of the stuff, it's like I do it because I'm bad, and then they like I don't know. It was other stuff as well, but absolute mess. They got like no friends, so they just spend their time just like making other people's shit worse or like pissing them off, and so like they'll go into like X rank or whatever and just like laser people unreactably and squid bag and all this kind of stuff, which obviously pisses a lot of people off because a lot of people don't like squid bag, and still it's 2023 and people still get mad at squid bag. But to be fair, if you get killed by an aimbotter and it gets squid bag, that does kind of take the piss. It's quite
it really does.
Annoying.
it takes the phrase skill issue too far, because if there is a skill issue there, like that's your issue to work on essentially, right? Like it's not like you shouldn't make it a problem for anybody else by literally hacking the game, adding an anti-cheat, and then ruining the experience of the game for other people. Because like Splatoon 3 it's still an incredibly fun game, like 8 months after launch, and if that's how much, like, it's a testament that, you know, it takes someone like deliberately going out there and ruining the experience of everybody else by modifying their game code to, you know, show that there's like the game, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But enough talking about that, because let's not give that person more attention than they deserve.
Fuck that guy. But
yeah. Let's talk about something more fun, right, guys?
I'm gonna talk
about LAN.
Yay!
The main one that's coming up next week is full wipe, but we've got one in the summer, RSL. You can find the information on their Twitter.
Kinda gone under the radar a little bit. There's a lot of people going, and it's obviously mainly going to be friends. Spark's going as well, so give them support. You know.
Yeah, big up the Brits. Big up the Brits.
The Brits and all that.
For everybody watching this knows dude, so he'll be there as well with his team, so that'll be sick. But yeah, Fulham's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, but obviously it's mainly for France, so that's fine, makes sense. And I'm sure it's going to be very popular in its own right. It was last year, the year before.
Yeah, it was last year actually. It was the like it's all organized by EBTV, and honestly, like out of all of the countries that have their own sort of like, you know, Splatoon organizers, like it's the UK and France, I think, like UK, France, and Germany are all like the big three that I would trust the most to handle LANs. And while we haven't had an announcement for Breeze at the moment, hopefully it's coming soon. EBTV running like a big French LAN, which they've also invited international teams to, which is why, in fact, Spark was offered to come along to Full Wipe. I think there's a few other more international teams as well playing at the event, but you know, EBTV Lost Full Wipe was a massive success. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with it. I might not be able to watch it live because I'm being shipped off to Birmingham for the weekend, but you know, other than that, like, I'm really excited to see what comes out of it.
Good luck.
Yeah, I get that shit, man. Be good to see you win. Talking about RSL though, chew-itz is not. I'm not sure if we're thinking of playing in it, but we are thinking about going at the moment. It is in discussion, so you might see at least 3 of us there. If we do get something finalized.
Hopefully we'll get something final.
I would love to go. I've never been to Amsterdam as well, so I would love to go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's
it's not Amsterdam, but it's close.
It's on the list too. It's one of the European countries that's pretty close to us. Like it's not even a long flight or very expensive flight either, so it's very doable.
Yeah.
For us Brits, you'd be probably flying to Amsterdam International and then taking the train down to, I don't remember the exact city that it's being held in, but I imagine, like, I know the Netherlands has very good public transport, so you should just be able to take a train and maybe a bus or two and you're there pretty much no problem. But
I
RSL
also think
3,
the people are very helpful.
yeah. So RSL 3 has finally been announced. I don't know if anyone remembers, but after Winter Breeze all the way back in 2020, they actually announced RSL 3 like while they were at the LAN.
Oh yeah.
That was probably like out of every Splatoon and like tournament announcement, that is probably the one that has aged the worst because being like dropping the fact there was another big European LAN happening in the middle of a big European LAN is one thing. Like that's really hype, right? But then, the 19th variant of COVID just decided to rock up and force us all indoors for almost 2 years. So it got put.
To say that plans fell through would be an understatement. So seeing this come back, I didn't even know about that. I was sitting at a breeze, so I had no clue. But yeah, I did not know that RSL 3 was announced. But yeah, now obviously is. I think they had Smash at one of them as well. They probably 2, or maybe it was announced to have for 3 to have it.
I believe it was RSL 2.
They had Smash this one. I think this was only Splatoon. So we'll see.
I believe it was RSL 2 that had the Smash alongside. But yeah, I'm really excited for RSL 3 because I think honestly, like, I'm not sure what EBTV have planned for full web other than obviously the full the main bracket. But Dapper Productions have recently been running their Tableturf tournament every Sunday, called Duel On, and I really want personally, I think it'd be really cool if not only do they have the main bracket for Splatoon 3, but they also have a side Tableturf bracket going on as well that other people can play, and I think it'd be really good for not only attracting a different crowd, promoting lands to people who might be a little bit intimidated at coming to what would effectively be the biggest European Splatoon 3 LAN in possibly ever, but you get to play table turf on LAN. That just sounds sick.
How appealing.
That's the reason I'm going.
Yep.
Yeah, right. No one else here plays any table turf. I am a table turf enjoyer. I'm not that great at it, but I do enjoy tabling that turf and all that stuff. But yeah, that's but us talking about LANs has reminded me actually that there's been some LANs going on in NA as well. There was I saw an announcement for they held the Big Dapple over the weekend, which is the one they have in New York. Honestly, I absolutely love the fact that the NA scene is starting to promote more and more LANs because I'm sure Sam can talk about this a bit more since Smash player, but having those local tournaments that you can turn up to regularly, meet people regularly at, is so it adds a lot to the experience of being competitive in a video game, because not only do you actually get to just play the game and try and get good at it, but you get to hang out with people other people who have like-minded interest.
No, it's really sick. It's obviously Smash has always been better offline. It was played offline for about 15 years. So that became the standard, whereas Splatoon has been an online multiplayer game ever since the start, so having LANs is a little bit more of a foreign concept. Smash thrives off LANs, that's how it builds an economy in the game, because people also pay for LANs if it's done well enough, and if TOs are lucky enough, they can get a little bit of coinage as well to put towards future events. But usually a lot of these events basically pay for themselves. They tend to base the players' fees off the different expenses they have for monitors and setups, and maybe if they got commentators, they got to pay on bigger events, and mainly venue fees as well. So it usually balances out like that. But yeah, it is good. It's a really good community thing, and that's basically what keeps those games alive. Essentially, is the community. If Smash was all online for an extended period of time, games would be dead as hell, dude. Melee would not have lasted for 20 years or whatever. Obviously it's completely hypothetical, but Melee would not last 20 years. Ultimate would probably be in the bin by now. The can't believe we lasted that long in lockdown as it was. Obviously, yeah, Splatoon is all online, so there's a big thriving online community specifically. And that does translate pretty well over to LAN when it does happen. And recently there was the PAX event in NA. Saw a lot of pictures from a lot of different people. From that, it looked like everybody who was there had a very sick time, so that's good. It's good that a lot of people don't, like, an online community does not shy away from LAN. In fact, whenever they their sparsity, like their rarity, actually makes them feel a lot better when they do happen. Like, events have a lot more value because they're so rare. You know, like it's if you go to a lot of Smash LANs, especially, or any other fighting game or any game that's predominantly played on LAN, you may sort of devalue the experience, may sort of not remember all of them. Maybe some different events like sort of mesh in your mind and you don't really remember which is which. If you go to a Splatoon LAN, that's probably the only one you're going to in that year, like in that entire year, so you will not forget it. And it'll seem a lot cooler in your mind, a lot better in your mind. And then you're gonna want to go to another one. Because I think I've only ever been to one. I think SnipeZ, you've only ever been to 2, and Chris also only ever been to 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we've been playing for I don't know too long, and I've only been to 1 or 2 LANs. So
I've
that's
been
pretty
to technically
ridiculous.
3. I've been to technically 3.
Technically 3.
Technically.
There was... Oh, I don't even know what it was called, I don't remember. It was held in like this warehouse, which was fucking shady. Apparently, my friend saw a heroin needle on the floor as we walked in.
What?
Fantastic.
Wait, you
Oh,
haven't...
that's what you love for Splatoon,
You haven't told us about this
Heroin.
one. Tell us more, tell us more.
Yeah.
That's about it. I had to
Leave
leave
alone.
early. I had to leave early as well because it went on for way too fucking long.
God.
Like,
Jesus.
how many like teams were playing if you had to leave it early? Like,
When was this?
like yeah, when even was this?
No, 2 weeks ago.
I don't remember how many people went. I remember Nebula was supposed to go, but they got sick literally the day of, so they didn't go. I
Oh,
forgot
fair.
what it was called.
Maybe Nebula will tell us about it.
Something arena, I think.
Yeah, that is one thing that goes underappreciated sometimes. Well, I guess fairly often is the quality value of a lot of lands.
Yeah.
And well, you don't realize how much work a LAN is until you're like privy to the details that people have to go through and the planning that people have to consider to get them done, and not only that, have them function properly. Like, you can have everything look good on paper, and then one thing goes wrong, and if you don't have backups or the ability to think quickly, all of a sudden stuff can just go wrong. Like, imagine there's been some examples for in our own experience, but like, let's say you're hosting a LAN, you've got everything written down. It's like, okay, the plan looks great, it looks sick, you will play that in your head a million times, you know it's gonna go well, be a little bit anxious about it, and then stream doesn't work, internet goes out, power cut, boom, you're fucked. What do you do? It's just over, dude. There's no way around that. Like, dealing with that is so difficult.
I'm just thinking about Splat Reunion, the fact that it started like, I think it's like 30 to 45 minutes late starting because of all the technical issues, like trying to get VC started, which ended like
as simple as that.
honestly, like the VC not working ended up being quite a big blessing, I think, because, well, it resulted in possibly the only Splatoon LAN where both teams are yelling comms to one another, like, out loud, which meant that you could also yell various obscenities at your opponents. All good fun, of course, but...
Hey, my favorite of that LAN was whenever Spore, I think, got 2, and then he was about to kill Matt's VJet, and then preemptively, before he went in for the kill, said, "Oh, the Matt VJet," and then he dies to Matt's VJet, and then Matt's shouting back, "The Matt what? The Matt what?
yeah.
The Matt VJ what? The Matt VJ what?"
It's so funny. Oh, it's great.
Every time I think about Summer Reunion now, like, because speaking of LANs, it hasn't happened just yet, but like, I've seen some tweets about people asking, like, you know, when is Nintendo going to start supporting European competitions? They technically already are. Nintendo UK has actually been supporting a Splatoon 3 inter-university championship, so something like the CCA, which they have in America, which is like an inter-college league. But this is for universities in the UK. And Nintendo UK has actually been supporting that, and the grand finals for that will be happening at Insomnia in April, like literally next weekend. And there are like, it's like it's a university thing, so competitive players like kind of like that. We're rare and we're very spread out, but you want to know the only two competitive players like that have qualified for this LAN? It's me and Matt. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to repeat the such moments again. Although I really hope that he would be able to hear what we're yelling from the other side of the Insomnia stage. That would be a bit concerning if he did.
But it would be hilarious.
It would be funny. I'm pretty sure the stream will be held by the by NSE, which is the main esports body that does inter-university competitions. So, you know, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be tweeting out about it when the event starts. And yeah, just make sure you're up early in the morning, especially if you're in the United States. The tournament starts on the 9th. At I think about 10 a.m. is when the bracket's going to start. So, yeah, if you're in the US on the East Coast, that's like a 5 a.m. start. So you might not be able to wake up that. But if you're in Europe, please watch. It's technically the first Nintendo LAN to have happened for Splatoon 3. So, you know, it's pretty cool.
And in general, just in a while.
A while as well. More than a while.
Yeah, more than a while, to be fair. What, 4 years? I might be wrong. But...
Yeah, it must have been, because like the last time I think Nintendo had a hand in any LAN event was, I think it was either like probably one of the EGXs, or I know that I think they lent them monitors for Breeze. I think Nintendo UK did lend them some monitors because, funnily enough, there's this university thing had 2 LAN qualifiers, and both of those LAN qualifiers used the same monitors that they had at Breeze. So Nintendo UK just has like a stock of monitors that they just bring out whenever they need it. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time, so
great.
You know, hopefully this will hopefully, obviously nothing's been announced at the time of making this, but hopefully that might mean that there's a UK championship, or even, you know, if you really want to get your hopes up, maybe even a European championship. So
yeah, very true. Something that me and Spore, like, have been wanting to play UK champ ever since we've been on a team together, and it's actually like, well, whenever I got into this game, well, we both got in the game around the same time, 2018, but like competitively, I mean, and like, I just remember watching like UKC and EC and so on, and just like really wishing that I was there playing, or just and when we did try to go for it in 2019. We didn't make it, sadly, but I think if there would be another one, I'd say we'd have a great chance.
Yeah, speaking of qualifiers, gonna circle back around to inkTV. Just gonna make a quick mention that Chewits will be playing the next one on April 8th. That's a Saturday. Yeah, we got a weird spot because 2 of our players were playing. Chris was playing with Spark, and Ibs was playing with Nightmare. So he managed to help them get their really good run to 5th, which is unlucky because they barely lost a game 5 to Graveyard Shift to qualify. So it would have been a bit of a weird situation for us because we want to play with Ibs for the 2nd qualifier. And if he had qualified yesterday, we wouldn't be able to play with him, which would have been a bit awkward. But
it's fine. I'd be able to play with you guys from the pub. Like it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just be on pub Wi-Fi. It's all fine. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah,
tabletop as well.
We clear straight 3 hours like AR did yesterday. They went 9-0 in that. They went 9-0 in that.
Yeah, they went crazy.
Cleared through, bro.
I think that's the thing as well. inkTV were like really advertising a lot of NA stuff. Like they were not looking at EU at all in the slightest. And 3 EU teams out of 4 possible spots qualified, which is great to see.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. It is a bit of a contentious thing. I know the majority of the inkTV staff are NA, and a lot of their marketing was NA centric. NA is the biggest scene. NA has the best Western team. Obviously, Starburst is so much better than all of us. We know what their record is right now. They have not dropped a set to anyone in Splatoon 3 ever. I don't think, wasn't it? Or like anyone that wasn't JP, basically, right? Or something like that. And
win rate.
They have the best team. They have the big community. Cool, fine. But yeah, the sort of neglect of EU has been a little bit sad. Cannot lie, because we do have decent teams. We do have actually have very good teams. We had obviously Alliance Rogue had a clean bracket through Graveyard Shift and the new team Zero Deaths. They were playing with a sub as well, so it was like at least one death, which is a clever name. I like that one. Those two managed to qualify from losers side, and Jackpot, obviously the NA team, qualified from winners. So, yeah, it's good showing for EU on this one. Obviously, I know teams like Cross Soda and Starburst weren't playing. Like that's a given. They are like top 2 right now, I think, I guess. And Starburst is like clearly top 1. Cross Soda is obviously around the level, but those guys haven't been playing that much recently, so it's like I don't know. Yeah, they'll also be playing the next qualifier, so that'll be interesting. It's gonna be weird because you would have thought that the first qualifier is like where all like the best talent is. They're gonna try and qualify first time, but no, a lot of teams just couldn't play the first one. So you're actually gonna get like 2 of the best teams are now playing. Well, actually, I guess Starburst hasn't confirmed it. It's been radio silent on the whole thing, but it's pretty safe to say they're going to, right? Like
yeah,
there's no way Starburst don't play. Like Starburst has to play.
Very surprising. But either way, at least Cross Soda, they're like top 3 minimum, so they'll probably be playing.
Yeah.
Assuming nothing goes wrong. You never know. And I know Jackpot almost got screwed over and did for a little bit. Leafy had a power cut, so they managed to get a sub and things worked out well in the end. But it's a scare, man. You've been playing your brats in for weeks on end, and then something just goes wrong on the day. God,
I think Leafy mentioned in her tweet that she had to move to 2 different houses in order to like get internet. She first went to one friend's house. I think she had to go to another, I think maybe another friend's house. But either way, you have to like having to play a single tournament at 3 different locations just because for like one reason or another. Absolutely terrifying. Like the fact that Jackpot were able to persevere through that and actually qualify is just a testament to how strong they are as a team. I don't just mean that in like the in-game sense. I also mean that in the sort of the out of game sense as well. Like the support from Leafy's teammates for Leafy must have been incredible in order for them to pull through and qualify.
Those guys, like with that kind of experience, probably a lot of confidence going in, and they were under a lot of pressure. I think they went to game 5 at least once against. I don't remember against who, but I know they had like a few really close games against Ascension. Had to clutch up against them multiple times to not get upset by those guys. And Ascension is a very scary team. They can be extremely snowball centric, where you'll be winning, and then all of a sudden something starts going wrong. Like
all it takes is Schnex to get 1 double or Twig to get 1 double, and all of a sudden they just start ascending on the button.
It's scary. That team's scary to fight, and Jackpot had to clutch up against them multiple times. They went game 5 with it's escaping me against who, but it was in the winner's side right before for their qualifier match. It was like it's gonna piss me off. Who was it? Was it Full Send?
Was it Graveyard Shift?
It might have been Graveyard Shift. If I remember, it was a team that was like. It would have been a big upset if they won. I swear. I'll just check it.
It wasn't Full Send because Full Send lost to Nightmare, and then they lost to. Oh, I can't remember who they lost to in losers. I think
it was Nightmare and losers. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Full Send lost to Nightmare and losers. Full Send narrowly beat out Spark. But I don't remember who they played after that. But I don't want to say it was Full Send. I feel like it was someone else. But yeah,
I can take a look at the.
I'll do it now.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, no, yeah. So I was chatting shit, bro. Oh no, Jackpot did. Yeah, okay, yeah. Jackpot went game 5 in round 1 of top 16. It was bet.
Oh yeah, it was bet.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And then they 3-0 Graveyard Shift in winner semis, and it was 3-1 against Ascension for them. So their most difficult round was round 1. I believe that was when Leafy wasn't playing. I think that's when Sleepy was subbing. I think I'm not 100% sure, but that may have been what that was. Oh, no, never mind.
Leafy was still playing.
No, she was playing Trinovo. I remember now. Never mind, I'm chatting shit. Leafy was playing at that point. But yeah, so they had a game 5 there, and then kind of cleaned through the rest of it. And Full Send, barely beat Spark, and then lost to Squinting Good, who were a hair's breadth away from qualifying. Squinting Goods got to guaranteed 5th. They beat Last Resort, and then they beat Full Send. And then they lost to AR, who they have beaten like 3 times in the last couple of months. And then they lost to Zero Deaths in loser side, which is tough, man. They went 2-2. They were like, oh, we went 2-0. We're going to qualify. And then lost. It's like, what the fuck? That's not fair.
Yeah, really. I do think that this qualifier was extremely close, just because it really does go to show that like most EU and NA teams are extremely close in terms of skill level. Whenever Crush Soda and Starburst aren't here, it really goes to show how close everyone is to beating each other.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Like it's there's been some things like, oh, NA is so much better than EU, blah blah blah. It's like it's kind of true, because let's be honest, like the top 2 are like top and Jackpot as well. It does feel like they're really far ahead. Like the top 3 being all NA, Starburst, Crush Soda, Jackpot. They are pretty solidly far ahead of us. Obviously, it was Sayonara before Jackpot, but they've basically, you know, a couple people have left, quit, whatever. So Sayonara has basically transitioned into Jackpot now. Similar lineup of players, and when Jackpot was playing Splatoon 2, they were also like top 3 anyway. So they basically come back and come to the same spot. Anyway. Yeah, so the top 3 being NA does kind of give a bad look for EU, but then anything below that is just like they dominate everyone anyway. They dominate all of NA and they dominate EU, so it's kind of weird to compare, especially when the people who shit talk EU are also still going to lose to AR, Graveyard Shift, Zero Death, those kind of teams. So it's whack.
Like
us even like
I think like I think there is definitely still like I think that like in terms of in the game there isn't really that much of a gap between NA and EU. Obviously, like there is a gap between like the absolute best in NA and the absolute best in EU, but both regions, like skill wise, are really like not too dissimilar. I think the main thing to look at is like with NA versus EU now is like the stuff that isn't like the skill level of the players. Like I think NA still has like vastly more teams that you can pay attention to and that you can follow. Like I think even off the top of my head at the moment, I could still name more high level NA teams than EU teams. There are really not that many like teams I could think of, especially with like recently like Penguin disbanding, and like I can't name too many like high level teams. Like there is Spark obviously, but I think with NA there are several other teams, like you've got like Nightmare, Maitland Heroes, Cherry Limeade. Like there are a lot of teams that are in that sort of like high level that I don't think EU quite has. And
I don't know, you say that, like, but I'm looking at this now, like as far as a high level blender goes, EU actually like has loads. If you've got it is a largely comprised of French teams. So it's like Squid and Good, Uprising, Us, Spark, Polar Knight when they play. Okay, maybe not quite so much on this particular bracket if I'm looking at it right now, but I know there's others. I just had one on the tip of my tongue and I forgot. There are others. There's Penguin. What's Penguin doing now? Have they disbanded? Did they?
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. I was gonna mention.
Does it bloody April Fools?
No.
No, I think it looked like they were like something was going to happen because some of their players left. I think, but I think they're fine for now because.
Oh yeah, and then there was like some of the teams from Luti, like ASC Tenchi. It's part of that sort of blender as well. NA, on the NA side, it's like Nightmare, and then a little bit higher up is DNA Ascension. So yeah, they're sort of their high level blender is a little bit more oversaturated than ours. It's just like there's a slight level up in NA compared to EU overall, just from like quality of teams, I guess. Obviously, we've had this conversation in EU Twitter for a while. A lot of people are like, oh, it's due to language barriers and stuff like this. I remember one Kiva tweet from a little while ago. He said that teams to try and thrive nationally before trying to do international or something like that. It was like, if you can all speak the same language, you're likely to have a better chance of success. Some teams have sort of counteracted that. It's like, oh no, you're wrong. Like, Graveyard Shift are made up of people from different nationalities, quite varied nationalities. I know Zero Death is predominantly German, but then they have one Spanish player, so then they end up speaking English all anyway. But they're all very good English speakers, so it works out. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that language barrier argument, to be honest. I mean, we're not exactly great advocates for it because we're all from the fucking UK, aren't we? So
I mean, like you say we're all from the UK. Like, ifs can hit you with the Italian, and then you can just start speaking fucking like.
I thought you were gonna say the Ireland thing. I was like, oh, here we go. I think.
Nah, like I was also like, Zips is Irish Italian, right? So you know, he is fluent in Italian, and then there's also the fact that you're fluent in the language of the Eldritch gods, also known as Welsh. So it's like you can just hit us with like. There is a timeline where Chewits comms are an absolute nightmare because like Ibs primarily speaks Italian and you primarily speak Welsh. So like,
that'd be hilarious, man.
We should do that. We should do that like for a funny sometime.
Like, no, that's what I find. That's what I find the Kiva tweet funny is that you said like, oh, people should play people who speak their own like their first language, so they're most comfortable, they can comm better and all this kind of stuff. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you realize like, oh, you're from France, that's where like everyone in EU is from. that's where like every top player from EU is French or something. Like, so then it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, French players can make teams with French players, but then you go to Italy and it's like there's like 4 dudes.
Italy has 4 dudes and one of them's an island.
Like 3 people.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, well, that sucks, doesn't it?
There's like one guy that I can think of from Poland. There was like one player from, I think it was the players between 2 from like Bulgaria, I think. And like, there's so many countries in EU that like have less than 10 players, and it's just like less than 10 like competitive players, I should say. And it's like, well, what are they about to do? Like, you can't exactly tell them like you can't tell Duracell, the Portuguese champ, to make a Portuguese only team to compete with because
so they can all speak in Portuguese.
Yeah, like what?
It's like, yeah, it's tough. It's just simply not the players, and they may not the likeliness of trying to find. It's hard to make a team, man. You gotta find people with the same goals, same kind of mindset, players who are your level. Which is what people like to like. People often focus on like, oh, are they my level or not? The things that are important is the goals and the mindset and can you be friends with this person? Those are like equally as important, at least.
I think people blur the line with that as well a lot, where they just it's like, is this guy good enough? Is this guy quote unquote +1, +2 level? That comes first over what you said, mindset, goals, that kind of stuff, the drive to improve motivation. It's like, I feel like all the time
play with like the best player in the world. If they're a fucking asshole, I'm not gonna play with them, dude.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like, I don't understand why people like this who want to climb up in this in the scene, like instead of trying to like raise the platform that they're standing on, they're just trying to look at other players as like grappling hooks, basically. Like, I don't understand it at all. Like, it's not sustainable in the long term, and in the end, it just results in more and more players getting disillusioned with like playing the game. It's just not healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not fair. It's not fair as well.
Getting connections and like talking to people and getting better through that is a skill. It is a skill. It's a skill that is a part of the game. It's a part of life. So if you can't do that and you can't climb the ladder, well, you're gonna struggle in real life too. Like that's what building a career is like. It's not too dissimilar. It's weird. It's an odd thing. This system that we've built in Splatoon is similar to having a job, which you would have thought they would have been polar opposite things, but there's some alignment. Like, as far as the social aspect goes, anyway, being able to work in a team and being a functioning person, you got to be able to do both in both games. So, I say both games, game and you know what I mean.
Yeah, game in real life.
Fuck me, I'm smashing.
Real life is just like a video game.
Ugh. That was a fucking Andrew Tate tweet the other day. It was so funny.
Oh god, yeah.
Goofy asshole. And then it was like, then there was something I quoted with a TikTok that was like, it's like, oh yeah, it was a goofy like remix parody song, like My Life is a Video Game, and it was this dude dancing.
Yep. Yeah.
He's going nuts still.
For every stupid Andrew Tate tweet, there's an even funnier video in like the quote retweets or the replies. Like,
yeah, that doesn't ratio him enough.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing about it. They need to ratio him harder. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I saw one the other day. It was like, he's been free from prison for somehow, and I don't really keep up with this very often. And then like Adrian Ross responded to him, and then someone quote retweeted it as like a fake Andrew Tate profile. It said, "Give Daddy a big sloppy kiss." Fun, very funny. Because I thought it was actually the guy. Then I was like, oh, he's gone nuts, and he's. But no, it's a fake account. But it still gave me a chuckle anyway. That was great.
Yeah, for sure. A couple other things that we can sort of mention as well. Something that we haven't spoke about is Colo, which has been a thing that is.
We'll call it Colo.
Colo.
Colo. Colo.
I pronounced it in italics.
Fucking. I want some cola right now, but anyway, Colo. Funny 8-man server. It started up over the last week.
It's a pretty simple thing. Colo is great idea, fun. Like people have had fun with it, but they never things like this Sendoku Colo they never last. You know, like there's a lot of respect to be given to people who have set it up and work the system and put the work in on the bot and all this kind of stuff. It's a cool idea. It is a cool idea, and people there's a lot of people using it. At one point I checked last week, and there was like 10 VCs just filled with people. Or was it 20? There was loads of people.
There was a lot. Yeah, so many VCs.
And actually, even if I open it right now, there's tons of them. There's at least like 28, 32 people playing right now. So that's really sick. And it's still working. The problem with it is that it was the exact same thing with Sendoku. Is that it was super popular for like 2 weeks, and then everybody just burns out on it and never plays it again. That's everybody just gets burnt out and they just stop playing it. They're like, oh, this is the coolest thing. I love Colo. I'm gonna keep playing this forever. And then they get bored of it because they've played it too much in like a day, and then they never play it again. They go back to regular R scrims and shit. And it's like, okay, great. So another cool thing that people are just never gonna use because they overdid it for about a month. Great, sick, nice one.
That's kind of what I did. I played 3 sets, lost 2, won 1, and that was it. Never played it again.
Yeah, I played 1, and it was really one-sided because I picked 3 splash players, 2 of which were in +1, and the other one was my teammate, it was Chris. And then the guy on the enemy team picked 3 charges, so he won. That wasn't fair. Like, why was this allowed to happen?
It's so stupid. Yeah, it really is.
And obviously, like a lot of like high-level players are bitching about mid-levels playing. I know. We talked about this yesterday. Dylan, like high-level player, has a lot of experience at top level. Good player. Done I think they're splash main right now. Good player, and they were getting like shit talked by God knows who. They were like casuals or something.
God.
Was it Ips that mentioned it yesterday? I think, but no, I think it was Ips. So obviously, no one actually knows exactly what happened. But he got called like bad at the game by people who are much worse than him at the game somehow. And it's like, dude, what the fuck's going on? Like what's? They don't know who this guy is. Like, this is not fair. So some people are not having great experiences with some of the people in there. Something about mid-level egos or whatever. They think they're the shit. I don't know. It's a bit of a mess now.
I think again, I think it's like kind of what I was talking about. Where it's like I think a lot of people like are playing Colo primarily because good people are playing Colo, and that's the reason why people are playing it. They were like, oh right, good players are playing Colo, so if I play Colo, I play with the good players, and then because I'm playing with the good players, I could show how good I am and all this and that and the other. And it's like, yeah, playing with good, like obviously if you're a more mid-level player, you want to play with people who are better than you. That's how you improve at the game. We've all been there, but using it solely for that purpose is just not. Again, it's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's why all of these things I think end up being sort of like just trends. I think there needs to be a change in how people view things like Sendoku and Colo. Like, I think they need to be like the fact that they are apparently practice tools just needs to be emphasized way more, right? Because like, if you just see it as, oh, this is how I'm going to like get to the top, like if you just see like a like sort of like a get rich quick scheme, like that's just not how it works. Like, I think if you play Colo for the express purpose of getting better at the game, I think you'll be able to gain a lot from it. I have no doubt that there will be at least a few players who have been playing Colo like maybe grinding Colo a lot, maybe not, but they'll be playing Colo, and that's where they'll start to learn the things that make them into a really good player. And in a couple months' time, they're going to come up, they're going to do well, and it's going to be like, you know, how did you get good? Oh, I played Colo. Like, I have no doubt that that will happen, but I hate that that is a minority of people and not the majority, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the other thing with Colo right now is you say this, like, it needs to be more emphasized that it's a tool for individual practice kind of thing. And as far as like the people who are running it, they're advertising it perfectly fine. Their whole point is that it's a solo queue alternative. That's the point. That is what it is. What other people seem to be taking it as is a chance to get results on good players. You heard about some people been putting Colo sets in their like results.
They actually what?
Shit like that.
Not this shit again.
Yeah, people were doing that. It is in a much lower echelon of player because like, they're just fishing for results. It is literally the equivalent of saying I beat Kiver in solo once. That's exactly what it is, bro. Like, I beat Kiver in X rank. I beat Dude in X rank or whatever. Like that's exactly what it is. And which is something I think I did flex when I was like 15 or no, not 15, but
everybody did, 12. Man. That is like 15.
It has to be dude.
I had
Everybody flexed the win on Kiver once, right?
But like back in like 2017, so yeah, I was 12 or 13, something like that. I had a clip. I was on sticks playing Clash Blaster, and I killed Dude twice in a row, and I clipped it.
Honestly, why didn't you get on Spark over Dude?
I know, it's ridiculous.
That's
I
killed in the West, actually.
Clash Blaster back in 2017. That's fucking nuts. I can't believe I did that.
Nuts.
Oh god. But yeah, that's basically what it is. If you are putting plus like Colo results in your bio, you're like me in 2017 clipping Dude after killing him twice with Clash Blaster in solo. That's you. Goofy ass. That's what this is. But yeah, no, that's the flaw with these things. People go in with the wrong mindset and they kind of ruin it for themselves. Basically, it's these people will be playing Colo, they'll have their fun with it, and then they'll never play it again. It was kind of annoying for like as a team when Colo was at its most popular. So like the first week it was there, Plus server was so dead. There were no.
Oh yeah, it was really bad.
You could not find an actual scrim. All you could do is like queue up in Colo and play against like, I don't know, just some mess of a comp that's no different than any solo queue really. You know, just it's a lot of people have liked it, a lot of people are playing it. It's a cool thing. Don't have a problem with it. It ain't really for me. I've played like one. I've done these before. So I kind of had that phase. I got addicted to sender queue for like a month, and then. With like, it's not like I'm trying to be critical of other people here. So I'm speaking from experience here. I did the exact same thing with Sender Queue. I played that shit all the time, and then I got super burnt out. I never want to play it again. Like I did this. I did this exact thing where I went in with the wrong kind of mentality to these things, overused it, and then got bored of it, and then it kind of just dried out. And everyone else kind of did the same thing. And it's frustrating because I'm seeing it happen again. People making the same mistakes as me. That's why I made these comments.
Yeah, like I mean, I know, like I've tried to at least learn from my mistakes, because I mean, like when Sender Queue came out, this was like during the about like 3-week period where I was in +1, because I was literally like one of the last ever vouchers to +1. Chara vouched me in, and then a week later Sender Queue came out, and I just remember like playing with Sender Queue because I was in +1 at the time, so I could play Sender Queue with good players. I remember playing it with Anger like quite a lot. There's like there's a few screenshots of like back in the day where I played Sender Queue, and it was like me, Anger, Sendu, and like Hypnos, where we just like played I think like 3 Sender Queue sets in a day or something. But either way, like I remember playing Sender Queue, getting a high power on Sender Queue, because Sender Queue would tell you, you know, oh, you're at the top like 90-something% of people, and then when I realized, oh, I'm in like the top, like probably like top, like small number of people. I just want to maintain this. I don't want to push this any further. I started playing less, and then I realized, like, by the time I realized, wait, that's a stupid idea. I should be just playing this for practice, and you know, like playing Sender Queue to practice. It had all but died out essentially for the reasons that we've outlined here, and I think in a sense, like solo queue has also just kind of been like that. Like at the start of the season, we saw a lot of people switching over to Japanese solo queue for like, because it's allegedly better, and I haven't seen a single mention about solo queue like X rank in weeks, man. Like Like, what happened? It fell off. It's been like, what, 3 weeks since we last recorded one of these? Like, how did it fall off that fast?
Busy. Yes.
That is true. University has completely taken over my life.
I sort of took over my life. Not really. It didn't.
Yeah, not at all.
Not in the same way. But yeah, unless I think that kind of wraps things up. Unless anybody else got anything else to say? No? Good.
I want to go eat. I got dinner. I got.
Same, actually. I'm hungry myself.
Hungry.
Honestly,
We're gonna eat.
I'm pretty hungry as well.
We're gonna eat some.
I don't know. I'm gonna work it out.
I'll also work it out.
I know what I'm having. I have about 18 chicken dippers left in a bag in my freezer, and I'm going to finish them. And I would have brownies for dessert, but I ate all the brownies that I baked on Friday already, so
You fat fuck.
Hey, listen, man, they were really good brownies, okay?
I fucking love brownies.
Oh dear.
Like honestly, like, and this is like my recommendation for anybody watching this, like, learn how to cook, or if you can't be bothered to learn how to cook, learn how to bake. All right, like it's so fulfilling. It's so worth it.
Why about both?
But
So easy.
cooking is effort, and I'm scared of frying things. But anyway, I think that's roughly like everything that we wanted to talk about here, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Plus, we're all quite hungry, so I think now's a pretty good time to wrap it up for this week. We're actually a whole, I think, about half an hour shorter than last week, so you know the conciseness is improving for sure. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening to episode 2 of Chewsdays. Tune in hopefully in a fortnight when we will actually upload one of these at the scheduled time.
Really quick. If anybody got any questions for anybody or in general or anybody individually, throw them in the comments. I don't know if you do, but this is an invite, general invite. Would help to have some topics of conversation, so we actually know what people want us to hear us talk about. If you want us to shut up, tell us to shut up as well. That's fine.
Yeah, especially this guy Sam. Sam needs to shut up.
One of these days, buddy. One of these days.
Next time in the land, I'm gonna slap you up.
Yeah, I'll be making a poll next week about like just like saying, hey, if you have an idea for, well, not like poll, but like just making a community post, because I have the ability to make those on YouTube now. I've just realized this, right? I'm learning, but I'll make a post on YouTube and I'll also put it on Twitter. Just, hey, if you have any podcast topics, you know, shoot them under the replies to that tweet, or even under the replies to this video here, or just anywhere that we can see it, and we will we'll pick out some of the topics that we like, and we will discuss them in the next episode. But yeah, that's it for now. I've been Spore.
I've been Chris.
I've been Sandwich.
And I've been not here.
I want a sandwich.
My favorite member of Chewits Mafia is absent.
Oh, let's go. Alright.
That would be that. Our gym will go hard. But anyway, see you all next week, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.